recording equipment in case his music was out of tune with his religion.
I loved writing music, I'll not deny that. But it's a big argument within Islam about whether music using stringed instruments is halal or haram, allowed or forbidden. So some people say it's haram, some people it's definitely, it's alright, you can do it. So within Islam, if it's doubtful, you avoid it.
I can't come to terms with the fact that somebody would spend 3 years devoting himself to music and all of a sudden that's gone by the wayside, and I think that's a total waste. I really do feel that it's stupid to pack it in. This is how strong he thinks about his religion. If his religion says that's what he has to do, then John will do it. Now I think you turned out some good stuff. You tell me why, because of this religion, you've changed from your music. You now dress like this, which I can't understand, for the simple reason I know that your brother-in-law goes to the mosque in jeans and whatever.
But that's his choice, my choice.
But you've chosen to go the whole hog.
Because that is my choice to do so. I don't feel ashamed of myself walking down the street.
I'm not saying you should feel ashamed. I'm just saying it's not the sort of thing that I would have expected you to wear.
I probably never expected it to wear. I never expected myself to be a Muslim.
Do you feel comfortable like this?
I feel more than comfortable. I feel more than relaxed.
Really?
It gives me a confidence, which I don't expect you to understand because you don't understand Islam, Dad.
What I can't understand is the changes in you.
Do you not think that they're positive changes, though?
Oh, I think they're very good. What I don't like is hearing you talking about you'd like to go and live abroad.
If I choose to go and live in a Muslim country where there is other Muslims, where I can bring up my child as a Muslim,
John,
away from the drink and the alcohol and the illicit sex. We've talked about this many times.
By the time your child grows up, it will be a Muslim country.
Well, we don't know that, do we?
All I'm saying is, be like you've always been, be a good son, obey the laws of the land, and look after your family.
Well,
and that's all I ask you to do.
But that's what Islam teaches me to do anyway, Dad.
Well, I hope
and that's what you've taught me to do.
Well, I hope you don't go to live abroad. I hope you stay in this country and where I can keep my eye on you.
Well, I hope you come and live abroad and I can keep my eye on you.
Well, we'll agree to disagree, son.
John hasn't found it possible to be both a good Muslim and a musician. But how much does Islam really demand that converts give up?
You know him as Cassius Clay, but he wants to be known as Muhammad Ali.
41 years ago, when the heavyweight champion of the world announced that he'd become a Muslim, there were some critics who wanted to strip him of his title. But did anyone even ask whether a Muslim is allowed to box?
Some scholars say that you're not allowed to hit in the face of a Muslim or a non-Muslim because it's God's creation and man is created in the best of forms, so it's not really good to be going bashing people in the faces.
Akil Burton took up boxing 20 years ago at the age of 14 and for 7 years was a professional fighter. But that was before he converted to Islam. Back then he was still known by the rather unlikely film star name he was given by his Jamaican Christian parents, Richard Burton.
He was sent to church on Sundays and we used to go there for Easter and Christmas and all the other special occasions. And I can remember not really feeling any sort of affiliation to it. We didn't sort of feel that it was talking about us. I mean, a lot of the time you go into churches and you'd see like pictures of Jesus and Mary and all these disciples and everyone was white, and you think, well, a bit of a swizz that. Some people say that the Bible condoned slavery. How can that be right? If God's going to send a religion, he's going to send something which is for everybody.
If Akil saw Christianity as a white man's religion, then Islam seemed no less exclusive. Growing up in Manchester, the only Muslims he knew were Asians.
if you was to ask me what a Muslim was, I wouldn't have a clue. I'd have said, oh, an Asian guy. It seemed more like a country rather than a way of life. And when another Jamaican brother embraced Islam, it was like, why? You know, you're not Asian. I was just intrigued. And like whenever I used to see him, we'd end up talking for like 2 hours. Every time I had a question for him, he had an answer. Whereas I suppose before in the Christian days, I'd sometimes ask questions and I wouldn't get an answer. So that interested me. And then through him, I began to read the Koran. The first thing that struck me is that it was very similar to the Bible. It talks about Moses, Abraham, Job. A lot of the verses in the Quran ask you to reflect on your own existence. Look at the tree, look at the birds, look at your own creation, how amazing your own body is. And that in itself is sufficient for you to say, well, I'm something special and something special has created me. The more I read it, the more clear it became that the Quran was the word of God, without doubt. And that this is what I had to follow. I knew that in my heart. So one day I just woke up and saying, oh, this is it. What happens if God stops calling me?
Akil converted 2 years ago, but he'd been thinking about it for at least 6 years before that. He knew Islam was going to demand a change in his whole lifestyle.
I was still fighting internally with myself to give up the things which I'd been used to, so giving up the going out, giving up the chasing the women, giving up the drinking, giving up the smoking, giving up the partying, giving up this what I'd call immoral lifestyle now. Okay, the women is probably the most difficult one, but when you convert to Islam, every sin that you've ever committed in life is forgiven. So do I want to start off by committing more sin? No. The view that people have of Muslims is the different dress and the different names and different this, different that. You don't have to make them changes. That's just me. It's a reminder for me to watch myself and to try and implement the good things in my life and to portray the true image of Islam.
Akil had quit professional fighting before his conversion, but continued to train and was on the verge of a comeback when the death of another young boxer made him think again.
I was very good friends with this guy who was in this gym, and he developed a brain tumour and over a year or so passed away, and I suppose that got me to think, well, about my own mortality, my own life. And in the Quran it tells you that you should reflect on death, because it's going to happen to all of us, and when you reflect on death you're more likely to do better things in your life. We need more properties.
Alright, well I'll have a chat with our lettings department.
So instead of a comeback, Akil devotes his energies to helping young homeless people get off the ropes. But he still trains, and he finds the discipline of boxing goes hand in glove with his new religion.
In boxing you've got to submit yourself to a way of life. You're not going out, you're not going party, you're not drinking, you're not smoking. You've got to put the right food in your body, and you've got to train yourself. So you've got to sort of lock yourself away from society to an extent and get yourself mentally and physically prepared. And I suppose for me Islam is the same in that Islam you do all the hard work, you do all the you do all the learning, and you try and implement all these things into your life which in the long run are going to benefit you.
There are many types of convert. Some can't wait to cast off all trace of their old selves. But there are also those who see Islam as an enrichment of their former life, not a rejection of it. At a time when many predict a clash of civilizations, converts who manage to reconcile Muslim beliefs with Western culture may yet prove to be a vital bridge between the two.
No, I don't think I've rejected my culture, I don't think I've rejected my society. I've just rejected that which I don't think is beneficial to me.
It's still me under here. I'm still their daughter, I'm still their sister.
I still chill with the boys, still watch the football. It's just that I don't smoke now, I don't drink, and I don't go chasing women, and I try and spend more time in contemplation of my life, really.
The biggest challenge facing Muslims in Britain today is to get people like me, the way I was prior to September 11, to actually see the reality of Islam.